I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 1:05 p.m., September 24th. This is the subcommittee meeting of the BS&A Working Group. I will call roll. Treasurer Yapel.
Present.
Trustee Brandt.
Here.
Clerk Flintoff here, all present. I wanted to propose an agenda, which would be approval of the minutes of our last meeting, and the second item would be
I'd like to call
decision
to order.
about
It's 1:05 p.m. September
discussion
24th.
and
This
decision
is
about
the
report to the
subcommittee
board
meeting of
and
the
next
BS&A
steps.
Working Group.
I will call roll. Treasurer Yapel.
I move to approve that agenda.
Trustee Brandt.
Here.
Motion by Brandt. Is there a
Clerk
second?
Flintoff here,
Support.
all present.
Support by Yapel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Propose an agenda.
Agenda
Agenda is adopted.
Approval.
I
of
did
the
neglect
minutes
to note public comment. I will note for the
of our
record,
last
there are
meeting.
no
And
members
the
of the
second
public
item
here
would be
physically.
decision
about
It's 1:05 p.m. September
discussion
24th.
and
This
decision
is
about
the
report to the
subcommittee
board
meeting of
and
the
next
BS&A
steps.
Working Group.
And I'm confirming there are no members of the public
Treasurer Yapel.
joining
I
by
move to
Zoom.
approve that agenda.
Trustee Brandt.
Motion
So
by
first
Brandt.
up, thank
Is
you,
there a second?
Ryan, for
Support.
taking the
Support by
minutes
Yapel.
of
All in
August
favor, say
25th.
Aye.
The draft minutes are before us. Are there any corrections, or is there a motion to adopt as
I
presented?
did neglect to note public
I
comment.
will
I will
make a
note for the
motion to
record, there
adopt
are
it.
no
The,
members of the public
meeting
here,
minutes
physically.
from August the 25th.
Discussion
as
and
presented.
decision about report to the
Support.
board and next steps. Motion by Brandt, support
And
by
I'm
Yapel. All
confirming
in
there are no
favor,
members
please
of
say
the
aye.
public
Aye.
Joining by
Aye.
opposed. The ayes have it. The minutes are adopted as
So
presented.
first up, thank you, Ryan, for taking the
Okay,
minutes.
so it's
of
been
August
about
25th.
4 weeks since our last
Draft
meeting.
minutes are before
We
us. Are
had
there any
Mike
corrections?
Muka
Is there a motion to adopt
from
as
the
presented?
GFOA. And I thought we had a really good discussion because he was there, but also because of the additional information,
From August the
Kathleen, that
25th.
you and Ryan brought after
as
your follow-up
presented.
conversation with
Support.
BS&A. And so I just
Motion by
wanted to kind of
Brandt,
take the
support by
whole
Yapel. All in
of
favor,
that.
please
I
say
think we're
aye.
kind of at a
Aye.
point where we may have some next
Opposed? The ayes
steps to
have it. The
recommend to the
minutes are
board.
adopted as presented.
But
Thank you,
why don't we
Ryan,
just
for
start an
taking
open
the minutes.
discussion
Okay, so it's
about
been about,
what
4
we
weeks
think
since
those
our last
recommendations
meeting.
might be.
We had Mike
Muka
Is there a motion to adopt
from
as
the
presented?
GFOA. And I
I'll
thought we had a
start.
really good
One of the things that I
discussion,
really
because
liked
he was there,
from
but
Mike
also
Muka,
because of the additional information
from
Kathleen,
GFOA
that you and Ryan brought after your
is
follow-up conversation.
his
with
feedback
BS&A.
that we
And
need
so I just
to
wanted to kind of take the
document
whole
our
of that.
requirements,
I think we're kind
our
of at a point where we
expectations
may have
from
some next
the
steps
vendor,
to recommend
the
to
software
board.
vendor,
But why don't we just start an open discussion
which is,
about,
in my
what we
experience, a
think
good
those
process.
recommendations
It's a matter of having the bandwidth to accomplish that. I'll start. One of the things that I really like.
I think it also dovetails into some of the development of policies and procedures.
OA is
We have a
his
set of
feedback
draft
that we
policies
need
for
to,
Maynard. We pick
document
up
our
those drafts
requirements,
and
our
use them, refine them, bring them to the board
expectations
one
from,
by
the
one.
the software
But
vendor,
if I think about what BS&A entails,
which
like
is,
there's all the
in my
assessing
experience, a good
policies
process. It's a
that
matter
they
of
document and submit to the state as
having
part
the
of their
bandwidth to
auditing.
accomplish that.
There's then whatever financial policies and treasury policies we have, Ryan, which are, not more than we used to have, but we have a long way to go. We have a set of draft. I guess one of the values I see of doing the documentation is that it's sort of a twofer. It's like the policy development. If I think as we sort of spec out the requirements of the system, because I think a lot of our practices and how we use BS&A is just what we knew how to do at the time we started using it. Policies and treasury policies we have, Ryan, which are, not more than we used to have, but we have a long way to go. We have a set of draft. I guess so I would see if we were to take on the huge effort of kind of documenting like all of those requirements, that it would be worth doing if we could also concurrently develop those protocols and policies. And how we use BS&A is just what we knew how to do at the time we started using it. And treasury policies, we have, Ryan, which are, not more than we used to have, but we have a long way to go.
I think that's
We have a set of
crucial because
I
if
guess
we
what I would
don't,
see
then
if
what
we were to take on the
potentially happens
huge
is
effort of
that
kind of
BS&A
documenting
drives
all of those
um,
requirements, that
the
it would be
the
worth
usage
doing
of
if we could
of
also
the tool,
concurrently develop those
along with
protocols and policies.
end users that may not be as technically
Mhm.
savvy or have experience, and so they may not see a different way to do it. I think that's, so we're not, we wouldn't in that case be driving the ship so much. And when I look at some of the complaints about BS&A, it is, it seems to me typically it's about not fulfilling the requirements that the municipality had end users that may not expectations. I mean, I've been reading new things about the payments. May not see a different way to do it. The users are saying, our banks were not mapped properly. We wouldn't in that case be driving the ship so much. And BS&A fixed it, but essentially they don't know how it was fixed or how they could have reviewed that data. It's about, and as an end user, I see this all the time and it makes me a little bit crazy. So when I had a mortgage, the mortgage would be sold and the new mortgage holder would not set up an equity account or account for insurance. And so that fell on me. That fell on every consumer that dealt with that. And knowing that's just not the way it could happen. It's data conversion. It's attention to detail to make sure that data is correct and taking responsibility for it. Instead of pushing it on the end user. So that's what I was reading about payments, where it's like, well, our banks are not getting, they're not getting their payments, they take, and then they fixed it. And so that fell on me. Don't know what happened. That fell on every consumer that dealt with that. And
Yeah, I've
knowing
seen similar
that's
things
just
with the
not the
payment
way
side.
it
I'm
could
not a
happen.
proponent
It's
of
data conversion.
changing to
It's
BS&A
attention
payments at this
to
point.
detail to make sure that data is correct and taking responsibility. And I guess you could extend that to any of the functions. So that's what I was reading. Becky gave us feedback on assessing what organizations were experiencing in Washington County. And then they fixed it. With assessing, and it comes down, I think, to the same thing. What was your requirements? Did they fill the requirements? How do you hold BS&A accountable for that?
Not a proponent
Um,
of
And my thoughts were that I appreciated the expertise so much from GFOA, and they offer services in that regard, that may be an option we should look at to hire them to help develop that.
Yeah, I agree. I have an outstanding request to him. I haven't heard back from him. But I would also be open to hearing about what a proposal from them might look like, if they could help
In my thoughts,
really flesh out the documentation of the requirements. I think that we can concurrently kind of do the policy work,
services in that regard,
internally with our staff.
we should look at to hire them to help develop that.
But it would be good to have kind of a neutral person taking us through
I have an
the
outstanding
requirements.
I haven't heard back from him.
But I would also, especially as we continue
Hearing about what
a fire
from them
has a different system of record, we're investing in GIS apps, we're investing in all these different places where we keep permanent records. And I think as much as possible, if we can use BS&A to the max, it's gonna make it worth our while.
But it would be good.
Because I think we just underutilize it so much.
I agree. I have an outstanding
requirements.
I haven't heard back from him.
I know the amount of documentation we were starting to add to more transactions into cash receipts that just has never been added in the past. That's one area, I know sometimes in the past, but not consistently.
And I think as much as
Parcels were
possible,
commented on when payments were
BS&A
returned
to the
or
max, it's gonna make
documents were mailed out. Now we're doing that consistently.
But it would be good.
It
I
just
think
makes
we just
everything more
underutilize it so much.
easy to understand for everyone else.
Requirements.
I know the amount of.
Well, I'll follow up with
documentation
Mike to see if,
to
you know,
more transactions
he
and
might be an
cash receipts that
option.
This has never been added in the past.
Mhm.
That's
I
one
did
area,
value,
I
while I
know
don't think we had the
sometimes in the
right
past, but not
scope
consistently.
for Maynard
Parcels
Casterison,
were
I thought
commented
Bethany,
on when payments were
personally, Bethany
returned.
Verbal, she
Documents were
had
mailed
good
out that we're doing that
insights
consistently.
into this stuff
It just
about
makes
how
everything more
workflow
easy
should
to understand
happen.
for everyone else.
And so
Know the
I
amount
think
of
if we
Well, I'll
look
follow
at
up with
this
Mike
kind of
to see
side
if,
by side
you
with
know,
some of the
transactions
policies, we might be able to glean that, but I
This has never been added in the
I
past.
regret that, that we didn't make better use
value,
of
while I
the
don't think
Maynard
we had
Casterison
the right
resource
scope
scope.
Consistently
For Maynard
Parcels
Casterison,
were
I thought
commented
Bethany,
on when payments were
personally, Bethany
returned.
Verbal, she
Documents were
had
mailed
good
out that we're doing that
insights
consistently.
into this stuff
It just
about
makes
how
everything more
workflow
easy to
should
understand
happen.
for everyone else.
Is there anybody else we should reach out to
And so
for this work? I feel like
I think
Mike's
if we
kind of our
follow up
guy,
with Mike
kind of
to see
side
if,
by side with some of the
policies,
kind of uniquely
we might be able to
situated.
glean that, but I do.
And where is
I
BS&A at
regret
in terms of their
that we didn't make
timeline?
better use
I mean,
of
push, but.
I mean, they've followed up with both Kathleen and I several different times. They have asked, where we're sitting at with our process, and I said, this meeting was rescheduled. I informed them of that. They said that our pricing is valid through sometime in December.
Kind of uniquely
I
situated.
can look up the date. I
And
don't have it
where is
offhand, but
BS&A at in terms of their
I
timeline?
don't necessarily think we're
Push.
as motivated by price as we are by doing this in a time frame and in a process that makes most sense for us. Where we're sitting at with our process, and I
So
said,
if
this
the
meeting
board were to
was
decide to go
rescheduled,
ahead with BS&A Cloud,
I informed them of
would that be something we would
They
do
said that our
after
pricing is
developing the
valid through sometime in
requirements? Or
December.
is that something we would do kind of concurrently
I
with
can look up the
BS&A?
date. I don't have it offhand, but
Just given their,
I don't
don't they
necessarily think
take
we're
like a year and a half
as
or so?
motivated by
And that's-
price as we are by
They told us that was driven
doing
by
this in a time
um,
frame.
their
process
training
that makes most sense
staff,
for us.
meaning that they don't have enough trainers. And so they have to
if the
schedule
board were
further
to
out.
decide to go ahead with BS&A
They said
Cloud,
technically, on the
would that
technical
be
side,
something
they
we
have,
would do after
plenty of
developing
staff.
the requirements, or
but
is
that's
that something
constraints
we would
within
do
their
kinda
own
concurrently with
organization if
BS&A?
they can't fulfill the training.
Gotcha. Just given their,
I don't
don't they
necessarily
take like a year?
So
and a
my
half or so?
experience, which my own experience with ERP system SAP is that they don't have enough trainers. And I could argue either way. My experience is that the software provider would come in, flush out requirements with the users, document those requirements, and then build the system to those requirements. And I could argue another way that that does lead to my own experience, inexperienced users wanting to do things exactly the way they've always done them. And I could argue necessarily get process improvements. My experience is that, so software provider, I don't know, I'm leaning more towards documenting requirements first, building that into a contract with BS&A so we hold them accountable.
Mhm.
And I could argue.
And if we do
another
this
way
right, I mean, it'll
that
just be
does
a
lead to
benefit to all the jurisdictions that use
inexperienced
BS&A.
users. So we've identified red flags with BS&A when we ask pointed question about what's your implementation methodology. So I no answer, what's Scio's role in this? Documenting requirements. Sort of evasive, we'll bring you along. It's like, well, you should document that so that we know at what point we're providing input.
And if we do this right, I mean,
Who's
it'll just be a
doing data
benefit to all the
cleansing
jurisdictions.
before you convert it. Same with system configuration. We've identified red flags with BS&A. So I'm not convinced that BS&A is the one to work with us on developing requirements. I would be more comfortable with an independent organization that is knowledgeable on we're providing on software solutions and functionality, especially doing the financials, because the financials to me are the backbone. And they could guide us on requirements and then potentially guide us on how to hold the ultimate software vendor accountable for meeting, matching the requirements. I would be more comfortable with an independent organization.
I did find
is
the
knowledgeable
communication
on,
from BS&A that the pricing is valid through December 10th. They go on to say that they will,
because the financials to me are the
they can
backbone.
typically offer a discount on the
They
one-time
could
cloud
guide us
upgrade
on
cost if we move to
requirements and
BS&A
then,
payments at the
potentially
same
guide us
time.
on
And
how
I
to
just go on to
hold,
say that I think that's a poor decision.
the ultimate software vendor
For
accountable
a
for
myriad of
meeting,
reasons.
matching the
Number
requirements.
one, the pricing is more expensive for the residents than our current solution. Two, we would have to spend all sorts of time and effort to transition residents to this new solution, of which we don't know enough about. And I don't like linking us into their system when there has been transition problems with other customers that have been well reported. So I'll just throw that out there, but I do support trustee Brandt's statement that I think having an independent party or consultant, whoever it might be, help us with defining the scope and what we're doing to be really important, because BS&A's role in this seems to be selling us some everything they can and making money along the way. I don't begrudge them that they have a business to run and that they need to pay for their development costs and technology, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't party or shouldn't support our needs in implementing their product. And what we're doing to be really important.
So then I wonder if, as a next step, we might draft a memo, kind of a joint memo, all of us can kind of weigh in on it. A joint memo from the three of us to the board, kind of recommending our next steps, like to first document the requirements, to propose using an independent expert such as GFOA, and in the meantime, I'll try to get a proposal from GFOA for that. So then I wonder if to concurrently, next steps, we might, kind of draft a memo, build out our policies and procedures. I think there are quite a few procedures in this organization that kind of haven't been adopted by the board before, so all of those should be adopted if they haven't already. And to kind of GFOA, get a process in place, we would engage the key staff in getting the requirements documented, and then build out a contract, potentially an RFP, potentially a sole source contract with BS&A. But I feel like once we got the requirements, then we would be in a position of much more power, to sit down with BS&A to actually have a negotiation already. And to kind of
Another thing
get a
I
process
would
in place, we would engage
add to the discussion is
staff.
that I think we will be in a much better position to develop requirements when we have a finance director and an operations director to assist with that, knowledgeable people.
Once we get the requirements.
And the added bandwidth to take on some of the tasks.
Yeah, agree. All right, well, how does that sound as kind of a next step to let the board know? I'll include, we met, kind of what information, held meetings with BS&A, held meetings with GFOA, kind of the research discussion we've had, and then recommend that as a next step going forward, that really we're not in a rush. We're not going to rush this. It looks like BS&A, maybe who we wind up with, but it's not a foregone conclusion, and we want to really know. All right, well, how does that sound system before we start engaging? To let the board know, well, include, we met,
I think it's reasonable.
information, held
held meetings with BS&A, held meetings with GFOA, kind of the
Any other
research discussion
comments?
we've had. And then recommend that as a next step going forward, that really we're not in a rush. We're not going to rush this. It looks like BS&A.
And I bet when we start doing this, I bet we're gonna,
But it's not a
hear of one or two other places that's probably gonna be doing this too.
Mhm.
Well, how does that
You know,
sound, system?
and try to get a better, get on better footing with BS&A.
I think it's reasonable.
Information held
So
meetings
that
with
is
BS&A,
potential,
held meetings with GFOA, kind of the
a
research
thought. I don't know if
discussions
it's
we've had. And then recommend that as a next step.
feasible to partner with another municipality to develop requirements and
I bet when we
RFP.
start doing this, I bet we're gonna
But it's not a
And
hear of
maybe
one or
that's
two
just
other
too
places that's
fantastical
probably
to think that they
gonna be
would have
doing
the
this
same
too.
goals. And
You know, and try to get a better, get on.
I'm a
better footing.
proponent of common requirements, you know, not.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
is
not the particulars.
potentially,
Well, I do wonder, I mean, this is where I wish we had a
I don't know if
decent
it's,
township association. You know,
feasible to partner
but
with another
I
municipality.
would,
to
I wonder
develop
if when we're
requirements
developing
and
these,
RFP.
maybe like
we're
passing them
maybe
through
that's just
Ryan,
too
like the
fantastical
Association of Assessors and
Different
Treasurers.
Treasurers,
And I
yeah.
can move them through
Goals
the
and-
Association of Clerks.
I'm a
you know,
proponent of
I
common
think,
requirements.
I mean, certainly
not-
GFOA.
Mhm.
Yeah, not the particulars, but
Well, I do wonder,
I
I mean,
agree.
this is where
I
I wish we
wish
had a
that,
decent
I agree that kind of common standards
you
would be
know,
best.
Partner
But
with-
maybe,
there's another thought that
I
we
would,
partner
I
with
wonder if when we're
GFOA
developing
to
these,
develop
maybe,
a common
like,
um,
passing them through
list of
Ryan, the
requirements
Association of
that
Assessors
then
and Treasurers.
they could
And I
Yeah.
can move them through
market
the
a
Association of
package
Clerks.
to other municipalities. I'm a
Nice.
proponent
I
of
love
that.
it.
Again, too
I mean, certainly
fantastical.
GFOA. I love it.
Good.
Super smart, but
Well, I do wonder-
and they are
I
the
agree.
ones who
I
issue,
wish
you know,
that,
guidance and best practices
I
for,
agree that kind of common standards
for
would be
finance. I
best.
think that's a
But
great
maybe-
idea.
I would partner
I
with
wonder if when we're
GFOA
developing
to
these,
develop a common
And if we were really willing to
list
roll
of
up our sleeves and put in the
requirements
time, it would be a
that then
a benefit
they
to,
could market
Mhm.
a package to other
you know,
municipalities.
either their Michigan
Nice.
GFOA
Love it.
or
Again,
nationally
too
their
fantastic.
GFOA. I love it.
Good.
Super smart, but and they are the
agree.
ones who issue, you know, guidance and best practices for
that kind of common standard.
for finance. I think that's a great idea.
I would partner with GFOA to develop a common.
And if we were really willing, all
to
right,
roll up our
anything
sleeves and
else?
put in the time, it would be a
I think we could work on this for the 14th.
Mhm. Yep.
Maybe we'll have a memo by then and then a
Either
little
their
Michigan
GFOA
report
or
discussion with the board.
I love it.
Good.
Super smart. Okay, great. And they are the ones who issue, you know, guidance and best practices. It's been nice to have informal, thoughtful, smart conversations with both of you on this topic.
Thank you. That's it. I shouldn't say.
And if we were really willing.
All right.
All right. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn? On this for the
Motion to
14th?
adjourn. Yep.
Support.
All right, motion by Gable, support by Brandt. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned at 1:28. Thank you, everybody. It's been nice to have informal, thoughtful, smart conversations with both of you on this topic.
Thank you. That's it. I shouldn't say.
And if we were really willing. All right. Anything else? Is there